Chapter 31-36. The experts from the Nine Swords race are here! The Nine Swords race has come to support us! Kill! Kill those invaders from Dragon Palace! Ha ha ha, kill, kill, kill! When the group of experts from the dragon race heard the voice of the Nine Swords race patriarch, their faces lit up with excitement. Although the Dragon Palace was strong, it was not strong enough to destroy them easily. With the support of the Nine Swords tribe, they would definitely be able to withstand the attack of the Dragon Palace. Patriarch Jiujian, help me! The dragon descendant patriarch heaved a sigh of relief when he heard the voice. He looked at the experts of Dragon Palace in front of him with an embarrassed expression, his hair turning white. A portion of the mountain beast beneath him had already collapsed. If he continued to fight, the entire mountain beast would collapse. At that time, he would also be besieged by the experts of Dragon Palace. All right. The patriarch of the Nine Swords tribe replied. His eyes swept over and his pupils constricted. 5 Level 2 Universe Venerables. His heart sank and his face was filled with fear. He moved and flew toward the patriarch of the dragon tribe. He was like a sharp sword that could cut through the sky, emitting a terrifying and dangerous aura. Humph! I didn't expect you Nine Swords to come here. Just in time, I'll wipe out both your races in one go. When Tianjin saw Patriarch Nine Swords flying over, his eyes flashed with coldness. Destroy our 2 clans? Dragon Palace, don't be so arrogant. The clan leader of the Nine Swords clan roared with a sinister look on his face. A dazzling divine sword covered in lightning shot out of his body. Crash! The divine sword streaked across the sky and attacked the heavenly formation. Tianjin revealed a solemn look on his face. He waved his hand and one formation after another blasted upwards. Boom! A violent collision sound rang out. Dragon King! On Xiaolan's body, Prime Minister Turtle frowned when he saw the arrival of the experts from the Nine Swords race. Do it! Wan Xian squinted his eyes and locked onto the Nine Swords race universe venerable. As his voice fell, his figure instantly disappeared. Woo woo woo! Xiaolan and the others received the order and let out a low groan. A terrifying voice resounded throughout the world. Their gigantic bodies slammed into the mountain peak below. Not good! Brothers of the Nine Swords, help us resist these 2 terrifying giant star beasts! Down below, the group of elders and protectors of the dragon race saw that Xiaolan's residence was moving. Their expressions changed as they immediately shouted at the disciples and experts of the Nine Swords race. You want us to deal with 2 universe supremacy level space beasts? The million experts of the Nine Swords race looked over, and their expressions changed slightly. Attack! Stop them! However, the experts of the Nine Swords race did not reject. They had a universe paragon, 30 peak Emperor God experts and other elite disciples. It could completely contend against 2 universe venerables. Leave this one to me. The rest are yours. The Nine Sword race's rank 1 venerable was surrounded by divine swords as he stared coldly at Xiaolan. Clang clang clang. He waved his arm and countless divine swords appeared in the sky. They covered Little Blue and directly attacked. Crash! Pooh! It's not your turn to perish yet, and you're already seeking death? Suddenly, the Nine Swords race's universe venerable froze. His eyes widened and were filled with horror. Wan Xian's figure appeared behind him, and the dragon claw penetrated his body. With his current speed, if a rank 1 universe venerable was not fully prepared, he would definitely be killed in one strike. Not good, Soul Sword Venerable is dead. Sir Venerable! All of a sudden, Wan Xian appeared behind a venerable and killed him instantly. Not far away, the million experts of the Nine Swords race were slightly shocked as they witnessed this scene. How can this be? The Nine Swords race had just arrived and joined the battle. In the end, one of their venerables was killed in one strike? That was a venerable of the Nine Swords race. One of the only 2 venerables left. 1. Seeing Soul Sword Venerable's corpse being kept, everyone from the Nine Swords race trembled and were on the verge of collapsing. A venerable who had just arrived was killed in one strike. What about them? At this time, there was still a rank 2 universe venerable hunting them down. What was the dragon race doing? Woo woo woo! At this time, Xiao Lan and Xiao Zhai rushed over. Their terrifying aura made everyone shudder. Attack! Attack! Everyone from the 9 Swords race was shocked as they roared. Rumble! In the next instant, the sky was filled with terrifying attacks towards Xiao Lan and Xiao Zhai. Their bodies exuded a grayish energy as they trembled slightly. Boom! Before the attacks could land on them, they were turned into nothingness. Xiao Zhai and Xiao Lan were also the pinnacle void beasts in the universe, Kun. With their current strength, they could kill a rank 1 universe venerable in a one-on-one battle. How could they be a match for them? Oh no, dragon race, come and support us! Seeing this, the leader of the 9 Swords race shouted in horror. Immediately! One of the commanding elders from the dragon race noticed the situation over here. His heart skipped a beat as he had a bad feeling about this. But at this time, they could not find the time to support them. Immediately my A*S. All disciples of the 9 Swords race, run! The leader of the 9 Swords race was furious as he roared. There was no time for hesitation in the face of a space beast at the rank of a venerable. Either they could resist it or all of them would die. Not to mention, there was an existence that could kill a venerable in an instant. At this moment, he did not hesitate and gave the order to escape. At the same time, he waved his arm and a sword umbrella rose into the air, enveloping all the disciples of the 9 Swords race. It propped up a space for them to prevent them from being interrupted. The sword umbrella contained a strong aura and was obviously an acquired spiritual treasure. Buzz, buzz, buzz! In the next instant, all the disciples of the 9 Swords race fled. Fled. All of them fled. Wang Xian, who was not far away, was shocked as he watched. Fuck! Some of the experts from the Dragon Clan glanced over, and their expressions were extremely ugly. Damn it! How did this happen? There's still a rank 2 universe venerable in the Dragon Palace? At the center, the leader of the 9 Swords race roared with bloodshot eyes when he sensed the fall of the Soul Sword Venerable. The leader of the dragon race looked over and his heart skipped a beat. Both your races have to be annihilated! Wang Xian looked at the leaders of the 2 races and said coldly. As soon as he finished his sentence, he flew towards them. What a fast speed! Sensing Wang Xian's terrifying speed, the leader of the 9 Swords race clenched his fists tightly as his eyes glistened. Buzz! In the next instant, his figure started to turn illusory. Chapter 31-37 Patriarch Jiu Jian! The figure of the 9 Swords Patriarch started to turn illusory, and the expression of the dragon descendant Patriarch changed drastically. However, before he could react, the 9 Swords clan head's figure disappeared. It had only been a few minutes since the 9 Swords race had arrived, and they had all escaped. The fact that Wang Xian had killed a universe supremacy from the 9 Swords race had sent chills down their spines. Of the entire 9 Swords tribe, 4 supremacies had been killed. Now, only the tribe leader was left. Moreover, he also knew that the strength of the Dragon Palace was much more terrifying than they had imagined. Including Wang Xian, there were a total of 6 level 2 universe venerables. 6. A total of 6. This was no longer something they could contend against. Not to mention the number of level 1 supremacies in the Dragon Palace universe. They couldn't contend against this power. He also knew the consequences of escaping. However, clan leader Jiu Jian had already thought it through. Once he returned, he would immediately lead his clansmen to escape to prevent the Dragon Palace from invading. The dragon descendants were completely finished. The 9 Swords race could at least leave behind some seeds. Damn it! Seeing the patriarch of the 9 Swords clan flee, the patriarch of the Dragon clan felt his heart skip a beat. He looked at Wang Xian, who was charging towards him, with fear in his eyes. His gaze swept across the surroundings. This time, the dragon descendants were doomed. Dragon eyes lock everywhere! At the thought of Wang Xian's cold voice, chains began to lock down the surroundings. Roving Crab and the rest raised their heads and roared furiously. The 4 devouring dragons charged forward. The heavenly formation was immediately set up. Even if the dragon descendants and the mountain beasts beneath them were incomparably powerful, they still had to kill them today. Woo woo! Woo woo! After Lil Blue made its move, the situation in the surrounding area changed drastically. They swayed their huge bodies and began to attack the surrounding black screen formation. The entire formation began to crumble bit by bit. In an instant, Dragon Palace gained the upper hand. At the same time, the news of the Dragon Palace invading the dragon descendants had spread throughout the Milky Way. The news came from the 9 Swords race and the Dragonkin race. When everyone heard the news, their faces were filled with shock. What's going on? The war has begun. Did the Dragon Palace attack the dragon descendants? This is too fierce. Directly attack the dragon descendants? How powerful is the Dragon Palace? Those 2 void behemoths are carrying the Dragon Palace to the dragon descendants? What is the relationship between the Dragon Palace and the battle pet of the Immortal Palace? I heard that the 9 Swords race has gone to reinforce the dragon race. What's the situation now? The dragon descendants are a force that has stood in the Milky Way for billions of years. How could they be destroyed so easily? Moreover, they have the support of the 9 Swords race. On the brain, the war that had suddenly erupted caused everyone to discuss it. Everyone was shocked by the strength and power of the Dragon Palace. A month ago, he had declared war. Now, he was going to kill his way over. How terrifying! However, just as everyone was discussing amongst themselves, news came from the 9 Swords tribe. The leader of the 9 Swords race announced that all the core disciples were to return to the clan and prepare to flee to another part of the void. When everyone in the Milky Way received this news, their faces were filled with shock. The 9 Swords race actually fled? What was going on? Is the dragon race going to be exterminated? The 9 Swords race is fleeing. This is definitely an undefeatable existence. Didn't they just go to support the dragon race? Could it be that the Dragon Palace was too powerful? That they weren't their match? That's definitely the case. Otherwise, why would they leave the place where they had stood for billions of years? What about the dragon race? Is the dragon race going to be exterminated? When they received this news, everyone was shocked. Especially the group of primary races and other domain-level races. If the Dragon Palace really exterminated the dragon race, it meant that the Dragon Palace's strength was at the top of the Milky Way. They had to make some preparations against such a powerful race. The group of universe races hesitated for a moment before immediately sending their venerable level existences to the dragon race to investigate the situation. Not good, not good. Those 2 space beasts are too terrifying. There are too many venerable level existences in the Dragon Palace. Our black screen array is about to collapse. At this moment, at the dragon race's location, 2 dragon race venerables were controlling the clan protection array to attack the venerables of the Dragon Palace. However, at this time, the addition of Shaolan caused the collapse of the black screen array to accelerate. Once the black screen array completely collapsed, the 2 of them would have to face the venerables of the Dragon Palace. With their strength, they would be easily killed. The difference is too huge. We, the dragon race, can't resist at all. A universe venerable said with an incomparably pale face that was drenched in cold sweat. No, no, no. Stop them, stop them. At this moment, a terrified voice was heard from the side. The group of dragon race experts were using the dragon cannon to attack the 500,000 members of the Dragon Palace. However, suddenly, a strange dark figure appeared around the dragon cannon. Their strange silhouettes quickly harvested the experts of the dragon clan. In particular, there was a strange figure of a paragon level. When he drew a black and white line, tens of thousands of Emperor God experts were instantly killed. It was unstoppable. The dragon cannon was threatened. In front, the strong members of the Dragon Palace immediately broke through the dragon race's defense line. With the Mad Dragon as the leader, they directly charged into the dragon race army. The head-on clash began. However, at the front, there were venerable level existences in the Dragon Palace. No matter how many dragon race people there were, they weren't a match for the venerables of the Dragon Palace. There are too many universe venerables in the Dragon Palace. It's over, it's over! The two dragon race venerables who were controlling the black screen formation felt their vision turning dark. They had used the formation to restrain more than 10 venerables, but their defense was still broken. One could imagine how terrifying the Dragon Palace was. If this wasn't their base camp, the dragon race would have been defeated long ago. Even so, they were just one step away from defeat. What should we do? The two of them exchanged glances and immediately looked towards the center. Rumble! As soon as they looked over, they heard a rumbling sound. The huge body of the mountain beast started to crumble rapidly. The mountain beast, which they had nurtured with their blood essence, was about to be finished. Once the mountain beast crumbled, how could their clan leader be a match for the 6th level 2 venerables of the Dragon Palace? It's over. Our dragon race is completely finished. Invincible Divine Dragon Cultivation System's error-free chapters will continue to be updated on the mobile game bar. There will be no advertisements on the website. Please bookmark and recommend the mobile game bar. Please bookmark the Invincible Divine Dragon Cultivation System. Invincible Divine Dragon Cultivation System. Chapter 31-38. No! The leader of the dragon race looked on in despair as the mountain beast began to crumble. The mountain beast was the strongest trump card of the dragon race. The entire mountain beast had been built with the blood of countless experts of the dragon race. It had been more than 2 billion years since he arrived. After more than 2 billion years, the mountain beast had become the strongest trump card of the dragon race. It could go up against a few level 2 universe venerables. It could even go up against a level 3 universe venerable. However, the mountain beast began to crumble under the attacks of the Dragon Palace members. This caused the leader of the dragon race to crumble. The level 2 universe venerables of the Dragon Palace were comparable to level 3 universe venerables. Dragon King, we don't have any deep grudges. Why do you want to annihilate the dragon race? The leader of the dragon race bellowed in despair. No deep grudges? Sending the dragon-faced venerable to ambush me and hunt the alternative dragons is enough to annihilate your entire race. In the future, if any forces hunt the alternative dragons, they will be the enemy of the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian declared with a cold expression. Countless chains rose around him as he stared at the leader of the dragon race with murderous intent. Kill him! Wang Xian let out a low growl and charged towards the leader of the dragon descendants. Roving Crab and the other devouring dragons swayed their huge and hideous bodies as they charged over. The heavenly formation set up a formation to seal and kill. I, Long Yun, am useless. I can't defend against the enemy's invasion. All tribesmen escape. Remember, if you are strong enough one day, you must annihilate the Dragon Palace. The leader of the dragon race bellowed with the determination to die in his eyes. What? Leader! Oh no! The surrounding experts and disciples of the dragon race were appalled when they heard their leader. Their eyes were filled with despair. Run, run, run! Everyone, run! The 2 universe venerables of the dragon race felt their hearts tremble as they roared. Run! Hurry up and run! It's over. The dragon race is finished. The eyes of the experts and disciples of the dragon race turned bloodshot as they lost their will to fight and fled. Trying to escape? It's not that easy. Kill! Prime Minister Turtle, who was commanding from the sky, had a cold look in his eyes. With a move of his body, an incomparably huge tortoise shell attacked the group of disciples from the dragon clan. Kill! All the members of the Dragon Palace unleashed their terrifying power and chased after him. The army was defeated like a landslide. When the Dragonkin race's patriarch made the announcement, it signified the extinction of the entire Dragonkin race. Lock onto the 2 universe supremacies. Don't let them escape. The black screen great array also gradually collapsed. In an instant, more than a dozen Dragon Palace venerables locked onto the 2 universe venerables and directly attacked. Damn it, run! The two dragon descendant race universe venerables were aghast as they hurriedly fled. Pooh! At this moment, a black and white shadow suddenly appeared behind a dragon race universe supremacy. Its sharp claws instantly pierced through him. I'll leave the other to you. Roving Demon passed through the body of a venerable of the dragon race and said indifferently, Roving Demon, you're looking down on us. The displeased voices of Mao Zedong and the others came from behind. So. A deadly arrow immediately locked onto another universe supremacy. When that universe supremacy sensed that his comrade was being attacked, he had a bad feeling. He gritted his teeth and didn't dare to stop as he desperately flew forward. So. But at this moment, he sensed a terrifying attack coming from behind him. He gripped the relic in his hand tightly, and had no choice but to turn his body to resist. Boom! The arrow was blocked by his incomparably powerful energy, but a few universe supremacies from the Dragon Palace had already surrounded him. It's over! Looking at the group of Dragon Palace supremacies, his eyes were filled with despair. No! At this moment, a desperate roar came from the side again. He looked over and saw his patriarch's body being grabbed by the Dragon King's huge claws. This caused his body to tremble as he powerlessly closed his eyes and slowly let go of the relic in his hand. Without any will to fight, he gave up resisting. Pooh! An arrow pierced into his body and melted it. Our patriarch is dead. The two supremacies are also dead. Run! Run! The dragon race patriarch and the last two universe supremacies were dead. This caused all the disciples to panic. They fled even more frantically than before. Below, some ordinary disciples who didn't participate in the battle fled directly. The entire dragon race was in chaos. Sounds of fleeing, begging, and crying filled the air. After Wang Xian killed the dragon race patriarch, he scanned the surroundings indifferently, and watched quietly in the void. They had hunted the azure dragons wantonly. Who would have thought that this day would come? They reaped what they sow. A low-level universe race was rapidly heading towards extinction. We've arrived! At this moment, at the edge of the dragon race's Dragon Mountain, two supremacies from the nearest 1-meter race rushed over to check on the situation. They were covered in metal armor as they scanned the area ahead. Huh! The dragon race has collapsed? They've been annihilated so quickly? According to the records of our 1-meter race, the dragon race had a very powerful relic. I didn't expect them to be annihilated so quickly. That's way too fast. SSS. Third brother, look! There are so many supremacies from the Dragon Palace. The two universe supremacies from the 1-foot race looked over and revealed shocked expressions. At a glance, there were more than 20 universe supremacies. Such a number was terrifying. No wonder the Dragon Palace could annihilate the dragon race. Their strength is definitely one of the best in the Milky Way. In terms of the number of supremacies, they have the most. One of the 1-meter race supremacies murmured. Huh! At this moment, Wang Xian, who was floating in the middle of the dragon race, sensed that someone was spying on them. He raised his eyebrows and looked over immediately. Oh no, we've been discovered. That should be the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. The two 1-meter race supremacies felt Wang Xian's gaze and their hearts raced. Dragon King, we were just passing by and came to take a look out of curiosity. Please don't blame us. The two of them exchanged glances and immediately bowed to Wang Xian. Wang Xian retracted his gaze and ignored them. With a wave of his arm, a crescent moon appeared in front of him as he looked at this world quietly. Around the dragon race, more and more supremacies rushed over. When they saw this scene, they were shocked. The invincible divine dragon cultivation system will continue to be updated on the mobile game bar. There will be no advertisements on the website. Please collect and recommend the mobile game bar. If you like the invincible divine dragon cultivation system, please collect Invincible Divine Dragon Cultivation System. Chapter 31-39. The race was annihilated, and the flourishing leaves fell. Wang Xian hovered above the dragon's descendants, witnessing the annihilation of a primary race. The crescent moon shone in the sky, presenting a desolate scene. Wang Xian was monitoring the dragon's descendants, as well as everyone. The number of surrounding universe supremacies had already reached more than 10. He merely glanced at them and gave them a warning before not bothering about them. Dragon Palace, most of the experts of the dragon's descendants have been annihilated. The rest of the ordinary disciples have either died or escaped. Half an hour later, Prime Minister Turtle flew over and reported to Wang Xian. Very good. Let's go and collect the treasures of the dragon's descendants. Wang Xian nodded. He was very satisfied with this battle. There were almost no casualties among the 500,000 members of the Dragon Palace in this battle. This was rare in a race war. He moved and immediately flew towards the Dragon Mountain of the dragon's descendants. At the side, Tianjin carried the corpses of the 3 venerables and began to check the location of their cosmic god nation. After annihilating the dragon's descendants, it was time to check the spoils of war. As a race that had stood for billions of years, they possessed massive resources. Woo woo woo! According to his memory, Wang Xian flew towards a mountain peak. Just as he landed on the ground, a violent and oppressive voice rang out. The venerable level blazing turtle-winged beast was beheaded. This venerable level war pet was sold by Wang Xian and was bought by the dragon's descendants. Now, this war pet was placed at the foot of the mountain. Wang Xian did not understand why he did not order it to fight during the battle. However, he knew that a place guarded by a venerable level war pet was definitely not simple. According to his memory, this was the treasure vault of the dragon's descendants. How many treasures would a race have after billions of years? It was unimaginable. I hope I can bring some surprises, Wang Xian murmured. He released the dragon power from his body and suppressed the battle pet of the venerable realm. Roar, roar! Sensing Wang Xian's familiar dragon's might, the war pet lay on the ground and did not dare to resist. Dragon King, I've found the location of the god nation of the dragon's descendants. I'll go and retrieve their cosmic god nation. At this moment, Tianjin's voice came from above. Go! Wang Xian nodded with a smile and went straight into the treasure vault. As expected of the treasury of the dragon descendants, we've only just entered and there are already so many treasures. As soon as he stepped into the treasury, he heard Wang Xian's shocked voice. Just as Wang Xian and Dragon Palace were collecting their spoils of war, the Milky Way was in an uproar. The Dragon Clan has been completely annihilated. All the venerables of the Dragon Clan have been killed. The Dragon Palace annihilated the dragon descendants. The news of the Dragon Palace annihilating the Dragon Clan spread. Even if everyone had a premonition that the dragon descendants would be annihilated, the fact that the news spread so quickly still shocked countless people. This was especially true for the commoners of the 9 Swords race and the Dragon Descendants race. They stared blankly at the messages one by one. The Dragon Palace did not attack the other planets within the territory of the Dragon Descendants, nor did they attack the ordinary citizens. Now that they had witnessed the destruction of their race and their backer, they were all filled with fear and were at a loss as to what to do. Just a month ago, they were still mocking the Dragon Palace. In just a month, they were annihilated. Although the 9 Swords race was not destroyed, they had been scared away and disappeared from this side of the Milky Way. Only ordinary people like them were left. One destroyed, one escaped. This was the power of the Dragon Palace today. However, when the news of the Dragon Palace having more than 20 universe venerables spread, it caused a huge uproar. More than 20 universe venerables? What kind of concept was that? Even the most powerful Miss race in the Milky Way only had 9 universe venerables on the surface. However, the Dragon Palace had more than 20. This caused some of the weaker universe races in the Milky Way to reevaluate the strength of the Dragon Palace. They had to think of ways to curry favor with the Dragon Palace so that they would not be targeted and annihilated. Luckily the Dragon Palace's first target wasn't the 9 Swords race. Otherwise, the 9 Swords race would have been annihilated. At this moment, in the void, countless members of the 9 Swords race were sitting on various powerful battleships, islands, and artifacts. When they saw the information on the AI, They had a look of relief on their faces. The Nine Swords race was still a distance away from the Dragon Descendants race. If the Dragon Palace had attacked them first, all of them would have died. These people are from the Milky Way? On the right side of the Nine Swords race, two figures quickly flew over. They glanced around and one of them had a gleam in his eyes. I've checked. They should be from the Nine Swords race. Now that a war has broken out in the Milky Way, a divine dragon lineage force called the Dragon Palace has risen and annihilated a universe race. An old man beside him said plainly, Dragon Palace? Do you think the death of Lu Shan and the rest has something to do with the Dragon Palace? Everyone in the Milky Way knows the strength of our sect. They wouldn't dare to touch Lu Shan and the rest. Moreover, given the strength of the few universe races in the Milky Way, only the Mist race and the Skeleton race could kill Lu Shan. The middle-aged man guessed. No matter which force or which expert it is, as long as we find them, we'll annihilate their entire family. The old man growled in a low voice with a stern look. They looked ahead and increased their speed. This is... Wang Xian had no idea what was happening outside. At this moment, he was in the treasure vault of the Dragon Descendants race, looking at the scene in front of him in shock. In front of him was a humongous wyvern that was tightly bound by 1-meter-thick chains. The entire flood dragon was over 10,000 meters long. Thump, thump, thump. A faint heartbeat could be heard. The flood dragon still had a trace of vitality. Wan Xian could sense that this flood dragon had a rather strong divine dragon bloodline. Even in the Dragon Palace, it would be considered a strong dragon species. However, its extremely weak body made its aura weak. Below its humongous body, there was a pool that was 10 meters wide. In it, there were about 1,000 liters of dragon blood. Above the pool, there was a huge wound on the flood dragon's body. This flood dragon was suppressed here by the Dragon Descendants race? The Dragon Descendants race has been absorbing its dragon blood? Wang Xian was shocked. He could tell that the strength of this flood dragon wasn't simple. He could also tell that the strong chains had trapped this flood dragon for a very long time. In fact, it might have been hundreds of millions of years or more. Invincible Divine Dragon Cultivation System will continue to be updated on the mobile game bar. There will be no advertisements on the website. Please collect and recommend the mobile game bar. Please collect if you like the Invincible Divine Dragon Cultivation System. Invincible Divine Dragon Cultivation System. Chapter 3140. After the extinction of the Cosmos God Dragon race, the other dragon species did not fare well. Wan Xian heaved a sigh as he looked at the dragon seed that was barely alive. He walked over and placed his palms on the chain. Huh! When he used all his strength to break the chain, he realized that it was sturdy beyond his imagination. Acquired spiritual treasure level? To be able to withstand my strength, this is definitely not the work of the dragon tribe leader. It seems like this flood dragon has been imprisoned for a long time. Wang Xian murmured. He moved and came to the end of the chain. This was an earth attribute acquired spiritual treasure that contained immense power. Wang Xian waved his arm and the 5 elements grindstone appeared. Waves of energy landed on the chain. Walala! The chain resisted instinctively. However, without anyone controlling the chain, even a powerful acquired spiritual treasure could not withstand the attack of the 5 elements grindstone. The chain shrank bit by bit and let out a horrifying sound. I've obtained a few acquired spiritual treasures this time. After the 5 elements grindstone devours them, it should be able to upgrade itself. Wang Xian looked at the chain with a smile. After the 5 elements grindstone upgraded again, it had the power to kill a level 2 universe supremacy. He looked at the flood dragon. The chain was removed from his body, but the marks left on his body did not recover. The flood dragon shuddered, but it didn't move in the slightest. What a pity! Wang Xian shook his head. He moved his palms and a wave of dragon energy was channeled into his body. At the same time, some dragon blood entered his body. Thump, thump, thump. With the infusion of dragon energy and blood, the flood dragon's heart beat even more violently. As a large amount of dragon blood entered his body, his injuries started to recover. Streaks of lightning appeared on his body. The head that was buried in his body lifted up slowly. At this moment, Wang Xian finally saw his face clearly. It was a weak and old dragon head with a pair of dragon horns. The dragon horns were sparkling with purple lightning. Dragon blood! Thank you? It seemed like it had been a long time since he spoke. He opened his mouth at a loss for words. I'm from the divine dragon bloodline. You can address me as Dragon King. Wang Xian looked at him and spoke. Once again, he poured a large amount of dragon blood on him. The life force on his body grew stronger and stronger. His cloudy eyes slowly cleared up. Roar! He let out a low chant, and 5 minutes later, he turned into an old man. Thank you, benefactor! He opened his mouth, but as if he was not used to speaking, he directly knelt on the ground. Get up! We are all from the divine dragon bloodline. We should help each other. Join my dragon palace in the future. Wang Xian looked at him and said plainly. Yes, benefactor. The old man nodded and slowly stood up. How long have you been imprisoned here? Wang Xian asked curiously. I don't know, 300 million years? 400 million years? I can't remember. The old man shook his head as a look of reminiscence flashed in his eyes. Back then, I obtained some lightning-type treasures and was chased by a powerhouse. After I escaped, I was suppressed by a human and imprisoned in this dark place. He took my dragon scales and blood. Later on, he seemed to have established a race called the Dragon Descendants. They were all experts nurtured by my blood. The old man said bitterly and shook his head. What? Upon hearing his words, Wang Xian was slightly shocked. Didn't that mean that he had been imprisoned for more than 2 billion years? Lightning-type treasures? Is this the lightning-type treasures you mentioned? Wang Xian took out a lightning-type sacred feather and asked the old man. Yes, this is it. The old man nodded and continued. This is a small part of a powerful sacred item. Back then, I obtained 22 of them. Only 22? Wang Xian frowned slightly. After annihilating the leader of the dragon descendants, the number of lightning-type sacred feathers in his hands had indeed reached 22. However, he was still short of 27 to gather all of them. The remaining lightning feathers are with an expert from the chaotic continent, Heaven Creation. The old man nodded. Heaven Creation, chaotic continent. Upon hearing this name, Wang Xian's eyes narrowed. Legend had it that Heaven Creation, chaotic continent was the first continent in the universe. It was also the first place where life was born. That continent was incomparably vast. In order to establish a foothold on that continent, one had to possess the strength of a mid-level race in the universe. In fact, many mid-level races in the universe weren't even qualified to establish their race there. What realm were you in back then? Wang Xian continued to ask. Benefactor, I was a rank 3 universe supremacy back then. I could fight 2 levels above me and go against a rank 5 universe supremacy. The old man replied. Oh? With such strength, even among the dragon species, you would be considered top-notch. Wang Xian raised an eyebrow. Benefactor, you know about the dragon species? Yes, my bloodline unexpectedly reverted to its ancestors. The old man nodded his head. Perhaps, you can evolve into a thunder dragon. Wang Xian looked at the old man and said plainly. It's good that I can live freely. I won't ask for anything else. I don't have much time left. The old man's eyes dimmed. Even though he was strong and possessed a powerful bloodline. However, he had lived for too long. So long that he was about to rot. Dragon King, the matter outside is almost settled. At this time, Prime Minister Turtle and the rest walked over and reported to Wang Xian. Her? Prime Minister Turtle and the rest looked at the old man in surprise. The old man was also surprised to see Prime Minister Turtle and the rest. What a pure divine dragon bloodline. This is an avatar dragon that was imprisoned here by the leader of the first-generation dragon descendants. Wang Xian introduced to Prime Minister Turtle. Lei Ming. The old man introduced himself. Nice to meet you. I'm Prime Minister Turtle of the Dragon Palace. These are the leaders of the Dragon Palace. Prime Minister Turtle nodded his head. Lei Ming will be a member of the Dragon Palace from now on. Let's head back after we're done here, Wang Xian said to them. Yes, Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle and the rest nodded their heads. Wang Xian and the rest flew out of the treasure vault and looked around. They kept the 5 elements grindstone and brought Lei Ming back. Her? Back in the Dragon Palace, Lei Ming looked around in shock. He could sense that all the members of the Dragon Palace possessed powerful divine dragon bloodlines. Many of them possessed bloodlines that were even purer than when he was at his peak. What did that mean? Those with purer bloodlines than him were comparable to real purebred divine dragons. Prime Minister Turtle, tabulate all the gains and bring all the treasures here. Wang Xian sat on the dragon throne in the Dragon King Hall and ordered immediately. This time, he had obtained a huge amount of resources from the treasure vault of the dragon descendants. The holy kingdoms of the leaders of the dragon descendants would definitely have a lot of treasures. Chapter 3141 Brontosaurus Descende Rank 2 Universe Venerable's Corpse. 2 Universe Venerable Level 1 Corpses. In their divine kingdoms, there were also large amounts of treasures and resources. Just these resources alone could improve the Dragon Palace by a lot. If it was used to nurture a Level 1 Universe Venerable's battle strength, it could nurture over 10 of them. After all, there was the corpse of a Level 2 Universe Venerable and his Universe God Nation. Apart from these, there were also a large number of God Emperor level corpses and God Nations. In their God Kingdom, the Dragon Palace also found a lot of resources. All of these resources added together were equally valuable. Of course, the greatest reward was still what Wang Xian had obtained from the treasure vault of the dragon descendants. Disregarding the powerful bloodline of the Flood Dragon, there were all sorts of divine artifacts and treasures that were of considerable value. This time, after wiping out the Dragon Clan, they had obtained 5 acquired spiritual treasures, 3 of which were of the 5 elements. Prime Minister Turtle placed the tidied-up resources in the Dragon King Palace. The members of the Dragon Palace looked at it eagerly. Place all the corpses beside the Dragon Transformation Pool. Lei Ming, you go in and recover from your injuries. Prime Minister Turtle, you will be in charge of the distribution of resources this time. Looking at the large amount of resources before him, Wang Xian revealed a smile and immediately ordered. Yes, Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle Lei Ming and the others nodded. Wang Xian waved his arm and the acquired spiritual treasures flew over. The 5 elements grindstone flew out and began to absorb them. Although the resources this time were huge, many of them were divine artifacts like dragon cannons. Such items could not be directly converted into strength. Therefore, the harvest this time could not help Wang Xian achieve a breakthrough in his strength. On the other hand, the 5 elements grindstone could be upgraded and make him stronger. As for the rest of the Dragon Palace members, they would receive a huge boost. Especially the ordinary disciples of Dragon Palace. The number of Emperor God experts they killed this time was huge. It was enough for all members of the Dragon Palace to advance to the Emperor God realm. Boom! Not long after, a series of roars came from the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian, who was assisting the 5 elements grindstone in devouring the acquired spiritual treasures in the Dragon King Hall, was taken aback. Immediately he flew towards the Dragon Transformation Pool. A few leaders of the Dragon Palace, Prime Minister Turtle, and the others immediately rushed over. When he came to the Dragon Transformation Pool, Wang Xian raised his eyebrows when he saw a body in it. Dragon King, there seems to be a huge change in the thunder. Prime Minister Turtle flew over and said in surprise. Yes. Wang Xian nodded as he sized up Lei Ming's body with his yin-yang 5 elements dragon eyes. He has been imprisoned and raised for more than 2 billion years, absorbing the bloodline in his body. The dragon blood in his body is almost exhausted, and only the purest strand of dragon blood retains a trace of vitality in his body. Now that he's absorbed a pure bloodline, he's going to evolve. Based on the pure lightning energy in his body, he should be evolving into a lightning dragon. As Wang Xian spoke, his eyes sparkled. Thunder Dragon? Upon hearing Wang Xian, Prime Minister Turtle and the rest were shocked. Currently, the only purebred divine dragon in the Dragon Palace was the Wind Divine Dragon. If Lei Ming could become a divine dragon, he would be the first Thunder Dragon and the second purebred divine dragon in the Dragon Palace. Let Lei Ming absorb half of the resources this time. He used to have the combat power of a rank 5 universe venerable. Now that his bloodline has improved, with my foundation and large amounts of resources, he should be able to recover a lot. At the very least, he would be able to reach the Universe Venerable Level 3. As Wang Xian spoke, his eyes revealed a smile. If Lei Ming could reach the Universe Venerable Level 3, the Dragon Palace would have nothing to fear in the entire Milky Way. Even among the primary races in the universe, they wouldn't have to fear anyone. Among the primary races in the universe, the strongest was only at the Universe Venerable Level 3. Reaching the Universe Venerable level would give them the opportunity to lead their race to a higher level. Of course, to become a primary race in the universe, other than having the combat power of a Universe Venerable Level 4, the number of Universe Venerables must also reach 5,000. This was an invisible rule. The Dragon Palace was still a long way from becoming a middle-class race in the universe. Lei Ming's improvement was good news for the Dragon Palace. For the next period of time, the Dragon Palace quietened down and began to rapidly improve their strength. In the Milky Way, the discussions about the Dragon Palace were still ongoing. The strength of the Dragon Palace. Countless people were discussing the strength of the Dragon Palace. During this period of time, various primary races in the universe were also analyzing the strength of the Dragon Palace. According to the information they received, the Dragon Palace had at least 25 Universe Venerables, among which there were about 5 Rank 2 Universe Venerables. This was the overall strength of the Dragon Palace. After the battle ended, a few of the Dense Fog race's Venerables came to the battlefield to do some calculations. After they received some information, they immediately left. The Skeleton race also had their Venerables in front. They also left after some calculations. The rise of the Dragon Palace still made many forces feel uneasy. Not long after, the Dense Fog race announced on the Universe AI that they welcomed the Dragon Palace to the Milky Way. When the other primary races saw the Dense Fog race's open welcome, they also followed suit. Some weaker primary races even said that they welcomed the Dragon Palace members as guests, and guaranteed the safety of all wyverns in their territories. These messages of goodwill caused the people in the Milky Way to discuss. They also knew that the Dragon Palace was truly established in the Milky Way. No other forces would dare to provoke them in the future. The force with the most number of Universe Venerables also landed on the head of the Dragon Palace. While everyone was discussing the Dragon Palace, suddenly a surprising piece of news came. The ancient painting sect's 2 Venerables came and invited all the forces in the Milky Way to a banquet. This news didn't spread very far. Only the primary races in the universe knew about it. When they received the ancient painting sect's invitation, the forces were filled with curiosity. They didn't understand why the ancient painting sect would suddenly invite them to a banquet. However, the 2 Venerables came personally, and they were even rank 2 Venerables, so all the forces still gave them face. Within the Dragon Palace, Wang Xian also received the invitation. This invitation from the ancient painting sect, Dragon King, something's not right. It should be for the ancient painting sect's Venerable Lu Shan and his group. They should be looking for the murderer. Prime Minister Turtle looked at the invitation and guessed. That should be the case. We have killed Venerable Lu Shan for more than a month. The ancient painting sect should have received news of his death. At this time, why would they still have the mood to hold a banquet? They should be looking for the murderer of Venerable Lu Shan. Wang Xian nodded his head plainly. When he killed Venerable Lu Shan, he already thought of the ancient painting sect's revenge. Chapter 3142. Banquet at home. At that time, due to the arrogance of Venerable Lu Shan and the others and the fact that they were dragon seeds of the halberd dragon guards. Wang Xian and the others had killed them. The Dragon Palace had already considered the consequences of killing the venerable of the ancient painting sect. The ancient painting sect was very strong. There were tens of universe venerables in the sect. Moreover, there were universe level 3 venerables in the sect. Such strength was slightly stronger than the current Dragon Palace. However, the ancient painting sect did not know who was responsible for Venerable Lu Shan's death. However, the death of a vice sect leader of a powerful force, with the foundation of the ancient painting sect, might be able to find some clues with their powerful treasures. If he attended this banquet, it might be a feast at Hongmen. If they didn't participate, the ancient painting sect would suspect the Dragon Palace even more. After all, in the Milky Way, there weren't many forces that could kill a level 2 universe venerable. Since the Dragon Palace had just annihilated the dragon descendants, it was obvious that they had the strength to do so. What's the situation on Thunder's side? Wang Xian looked at Prime Minister Turtle and asked. Dragon King, Lei Ming's strength should be able to reach level 3 universe venerable in a few days. As for stronger ones, our Dragon Palace doesn't have enough resources, Prime Minister Turtle said. All right, Lei Ming and I will go to the banquet in 10 days, said Wang Xian directly. It's Dragon King! Prime Minister Turtle nodded. Wang Xian possessed the 8 luminosity dragon scale, which could conceal and alter his aura. As for Lei Ming, he had just joined the Dragon Palace. Even if they had some treasures, they wouldn't be able to find out that it was the Dragon Palace who killed them. Time passed day by day. The arrival of the 2 universe supremacies of the ancient painting god sect didn't attract too much attention from the other races. After the Dragon Palace responded to the goodwill of some forces on the AI, he also calmed down. Boom! Crackle! 5 days later, in the sky above the dragon transformation pool, a lightning dragon swayed its huge body, emitting a terrifying power of lightning punishment. Lightning flashed in the sky above the dragon transformation pool, giving off an immense pressure. Wang Xian moved and came to the front of the dragon transformation pool. Looking at Lei Ming, he revealed a smile. Lei Long, a universe venerable level 3 lightning dragon. The strongest member of the Dragon Palace. Greetings, Dragon King! Lei Ming flew to the front of Wang Xian and transformed into his human form. He knelt before Wang Xian with great respect and bowed to Wang Xian. Get up! Let Prime Minister Turtle show you around the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian nodded his head. Hee, let's go. From now on, you will be a part of the Dragon Palace. Prime Minister Turtle smiled and brought him around the Dragon Palace. The addition and enhancement of Lei Ming would greatly increase the strength of Dragon Palace. While Lei Ming was improving, the Dragon Palace also gained 10 universe level 1 venerables. The resources of the dragon descendants were also gradually depleted. This time, half of the dragon race's resources were used on Lei Ming. Time passed day by day. The Dragon Palace annihilated the dragon descendants. The low-level races in the Milky Way also attracted the attention of the other Yalong dragons in the Milky Way. In just a dozen days, the Dragon Palace had gained more than 3,000 members. Lei Ming, get ready to go out with me. On this day, Wang Xian looked at the time and called Lei Ming over after settling some matters in the Dragon Palace. Yes, Dragon King. I can set off at any time. Lei Ming replied respectfully. All right, let's go over. Wang Xian nodded his head and flew out directly. Dragon King, I'll bring you along. Lei Ming made a move and transformed into the form of a lightning dragon, flying below Wang Xian. Wang Xian chuckled and nodded his head. Lei Ming retracted the lightning on his body and flew towards the edge of the Milky Way at a terrifying speed. The lightning dragon, which had the combat strength of a 3rd-stage venerable, was much faster than Wang Xian. His 10,000-meter-long body shuttled through the Milky Way with terrifying pressure. After more than 10 hours, they arrived at the edge of the Milky Way. Just in time. Let's enter the continent ahead. Wang Xian looked at the time and pointed to the Wangyin mainland ahead. The Wangyin mainland belonged to the dense fog race and was also their base camp. It was the largest continent beside the Milky Way. This time, the two experts from the ancient painting sect held a banquet in the Wangyin mainland. Laming's body shrunk to about 10 meters as he swayed his huge body and carried Wang Xian forward. Huh! What's that? A divine dragon? It's exactly the same as the legendary divine dragon. SSS, there's someone on it. It should be the people from the Dragon Palace. I heard that a major force 10,000 light-years away from here has invited all the major races here. When Laming brought Wang Xian to the sky above the Wangyin mainland. When some people saw it, they were shocked and started discussing among themselves. It's over there. Let's head over. Wang Xian looked at the map and instructed Laming. They were above a huge lake in the Wangyin mainland. Laming's eyes scanned the area below. His gaze landed on a spot and he flew over. At this moment, the lake was decorated lavishly. Many old men were chatting with smiles on their faces. At a glance, there were more than a dozen universe venerables. The ancient painting sect is pretty influential. Almost all of them are here. Wang Xian looked over. This is... When Wang Xian flew over, the people below noticed them and looked over with flickering eyes. It's the people from the Dragon Palace. That should be the Dragon King. Is that a purebred divine dragon? It's exactly the same as the legendary divine dragon. They looked over and whispered to each other. A few old men came over to welcome them. Are you the Dragon King? Nice to meet you. A few universe supremacies walked over and greeted them politely and respectfully. Nice to meet you all. Wang Xian landed on the ground and replied politely. Beside him, Laming transformed into his human form. I've long heard of the Dragon King. It's my honor to meet you today. A few old men continued to speak with a hint of flattery. Are all the races from the Milky Way here this time? Let me get to know all of you. Wang Xian smiled politely. Other than the Miss race, skeleton race, and two experts from the ancient painting sect, all the other races are here. A venerable from the water shadow race replied immediately. The people from the ancient painting sect are not here yet? Wang Xian raised his eyebrows. As the host of the banquet, they were not here yet. As expected, they were still very arrogant. They should be here soon. Dragon King, come and have a seat. A few venerables invited him warmly. With the current strength of the Dragon Palace, they could definitely be ranked top 3 in the Milky Way. Therefore, the group of venerables was also very warm and respectful. All right, thank you all. Wang Xian nodded his head and walked inside. One. At this time, a few figures shrouded in black robes appeared at the side. Wang Xian squinted his eyes and looked over immediately. Chapter 3143 Banquet at Home. In Chapter 3149, Banquet at Home. Black robes covered their entire bodies. Other than a pair of blood-red or green pupils, no one could see their faces. They're from the skeleton clan. The crowd whispered as they looked at them. Wang Xian looked at the 3 figures in black robes and his eyes flickered. Of the 3 clans that the Dragon Palace was going to exterminate, the dragon descendants had been annihilated, and the 9 Swords clan had fled. The Skeleton clan was the only one left. The Skeleton clan was also one of the primary clans in the universe that Wang Xian and the rest knew about. The Incan clan had been annihilated by the Skeleton clan. Their strength was second only to the Dense Fog clan. When Wang Xian turned to look at them, the 3 members of the Skeleton clan also looked at them. The pupils under the black robes were flickering and no one could sense their emotions. Wang Xian and the Skeleton clan sized each other up. The other party didn't say a word and neither did he. Everyone went to their respective seats and sat down. Dragon King, I can smell the bloodline of a semi-dragon from the 3 black-robed skeletons. At this time, Laming transmitted his voice to Wang Xian. Wang Xian nodded his head slightly. The Skeleton clan had also hunted and captured the semi-dragon without restraint. The surrounding venerables could sense the subtle atmosphere between Wang Xian and the experts from the Skeleton clan. They were deep in thought. I think we shouldn't go over. It seems like the Skeleton clan and the Dragon Palace aren't on good terms. At the side, the two old men exchanged glances and transmitted their voices to each other. In the Milky Way, the Nine Swords, the dragon descendants, and the skeleton clan had openly hunted and captured the semi-dragon. When the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace annihilated the dragon descendants, he said that anyone who hunted the semi-dragon would be the enemy of the Dragon Palace. Clearly, they have a conflict of interest. The two of them spoke slowly. They were all primary clans in the Milky Way universe and knew a little about certain things. The few clans hunted the semi-dragon, which was naturally beneficial to them. Now that the Dragon Palace had made such a statement, there would definitely be a conflict. Even if the conflict wasn't obvious, there wouldn't be any communication between the two parties. Not only them, but many forces had also realized this. However, the skeleton clan had a smaller population to begin with. Many other clans had not interacted with them before. She continued chatting with Wang Xian in an attempt to leave a good impression. Wang Xian and the few venerables of the universe were perfunctory. Not long after, a dozen figures flew over. The crowd immediately turned to look. Two old men wearing the ancient painting sex uniform and a dozen people from the dense fog race flew over. Wang Xian had seen the old man leading the dense fog race before. He was Red Fog Venerable. "Thank you all for giving face to our ancient painting sect and gathering here." The two old men from the ancient painting sect cupped their hands together and said faintly, "You're too polite, you're too polite. A supreme from the ancient painting sect invited us, so we naturally came." The venerables immediately responded politely. The ancient painting sect was very powerful, far surpassing all the forces in the Milky Way. This was universally acknowledged. Facing the two supreme experts from the ancient painting sect, they were naturally polite. Wang Xian sat there and watched impassively without saying a word. He had always been unhappy with the ancient painting sect. They were invited to the banquet, but the host only came out at the end. It was obvious that he didn't value them. "The reason why I've invited all of you here today is for no other reason than to ask if you've seen our ancient painting sect's vice-sect master, Reverend Lu Shan, and the others." The two supreme experts from the ancient painting sect swept their eyes across the crowd and spoke directly. Looking at them, they didn't seem to have the intention of holding a banquet. "Her? Venerable Lu Shan?" When the crowd heard their words, their faces were filled with astonishment. "Did something happen to Venerable Lu Shan?" A supreme from the 1-foot race asked doubtfully. Red Fog Venerable and the rest also looked over in surprise. Was this the reason why the ancient painting sect invited all the forces to hold this banquet? "Our deputy sect leader Lu Shan and the rest have disappeared in the Milky Way. Until now, there has been no news of them. Therefore, we are here to look for them." The two of them shook their heads. "Their life plates are broken. I'm not sure if they really met with misfortune." "What? Their life plates are broken? The life plates of Venerable Lu Shan and the rest are broken. And in the Milky Way?" Even the Red Fog Venerable and the rest were shocked as they looked at the two supreme experts from the ancient painting sect. The shattering of the life tablet represented death. Even for a universe venerable, once their life plate was broken, it also meant that their body had died. Venerable Lu Shan, the deputy sect leader of the ancient painting sect, a rank 2 universe venerable, had actually died. Moreover, he had died in the Milky Way. No wonder the ancient painting sect had invited all the races and forces here. "Gathering all of you here is our ancient painting sect's last resort. Please cooperate with us. After this, our ancient painting sect will definitely come to apologize." An old man from the ancient painting sect cupped his hands. "Our Shui Shan race only has one supreme, me. It's impossible, and we wouldn't dare to do such a thing." The clan leader of Shui Shan race shook his head. "Since Venerable Lu Shan died here, it's only right that the ancient painting sect comes to look for information. Our dense fog race will cooperate with you." The Red Fog Venerable hesitated for a moment before speaking. "Thank you." An old man from the ancient painting sect sensed it, and waved his arm. A drop of blood floated in the middle of a white plate. "This is a trace of Venerable Lu Shan's blood. Put it in the spiritual treasure. If we encounter the murderer of Venerable Lu Shan, Or if the aura is similar, we can use it to find him. As the old man spoke, the drop of blood floated above the white plate without any movement. Huh! Are they suspecting that it was done by the forces in the Milky Way? Venerable Lu Shan is a rank 2 universe venerable. There are only 3 or 4 forces in the Milky Way that could kill him and prevent him from escaping. The group of elders from the elementary races in the universe discussed softly. Hee, we thought it was some banquet. So, the ancient painting sect is investigating us as the murderer, Wang Xian said sarcastically as he looked at the blood on the white disk. Dragon King, right? We had no choice. We have to find the murderer of our venerable Lu Shan. Please forgive us. An ancient painting sect venerable looked over and said with flickering eyes. Wang Xian smiled faintly and didn't say a word. The round plate rose and flew around. The group looked at it and didn't say a word. The ancient painting sect was very strong. Although they were unhappy with this action, they wouldn't reject it. The dense fog race and the skeleton race didn't move and just watched quietly. Chapter 3144, Wine. The disc circled around everyone, but the drop of blood on it didn't move at all. The 2 venerables from the ancient painting sect frowned. Perhaps Venerable Lu Shan met with danger in the Milky Way. Venerable Lu Shan saw it, and said plainly. Perhaps. The 2 venerables from the ancient painting sect were also uncertain. Given the strength of the ancient painting sect, the forces in the Milky Way shouldn't dare to kill Venerable Lu Shan. Perhaps they really met with an accident. The 2 of them thought to themselves. I'm really sorry, everyone. Thank you for your cooperation. The 2 of them cupped their fists and waved their arms. Delicacies flew to the tables. These are some of the food that we brought. It's our apology. The 2 venerables from the ancient painting sect smiled. The so-called delicacies were all high-level spiritual herbs, spiritual fruits, and spiritual fluids. They could be considered treasures outside. The group of venerables smiled plainly. Wang Xian sat at the side, smiled faintly, and picked up some food casually. You must be the Dragon King. It's an honor to meet you. The 2 venerables from the ancient painting sect didn't find anything wrong and the atmosphere eased. The red mist venerable looked at Wang Xian, walked over with a smile, and cupped his fists. Red mist venerable, it's an honor to meet you. Wang Xian cupped his fists at the red mist venerable. The 2 venerables from the ancient painting sect looked at Wang Xian with curiosity in their eyes. They were also curious about the force that had just annihilated and scared off an elementary race in the universe. Especially when it was a force with the bloodline of the divine dragon. However, the 2 of them didn't go forward to chat. The Dragon King was clearly displeased with their behavior. There was no need for them to go over and play up to him. The group chatted for a while and the banquet ended. Farewell, everyone. Come to the Dragon Palace when you're free. Wang Xian didn't stay for long. Other than getting to know the elementary races in the universe, he didn't gain anything else from this trip. Roar, roar! At the side, Lei Ming moved and immediately transformed into a 10-meter-long lightning dragon. The lightning was restrained and suspended in the air like a holy object. Wang Xian moved and flew to Lei Ming's side. He cupped his fists at them. Huh! This is... When the Red Mist Venerable, the Skeleton Clan, and the people from the ancient painting sect saw Lei Ming, their pupils slightly shrank, and they looked shocked. The 3 figures of the Skeleton Clan stared at Lei Ming with flickering ghostly flames in their eyes. Wang Xian looked at them and smiled. Lei Ming immediately flew towards the direction of the Dragon Palace. Is this a purebred divine dragon? One of the venerables from the ancient painting sect asked. Rumor has it that the Dragon Palace has a purebred divine dragon. It looks like that's the legendary Thunder Dragon? It's exactly the same as the legendary Thunder Dragon. The Red Mist Venerable and the others whispered in shock. Just by looking at the appearance of the Thunder Dragon, one could tell that it was definitely not an ordinary flood dragon. It feels even purer than the heavenly dragon bloodline of the heavenly dragon race. A venerable from the ancient painting sect said faintly. Report this matter. A purebred divine dragon? It seems like the Dragon Palace has obtained a very powerful divine dragon inheritance. As the two old men from the ancient painting sect spoke, they took out the Universe AI and sent a message. At the side, the three old men from the skeleton clan exchanged glances. They could see the passion in each other's eyes. Purebred divine dragon. It's definitely the legendary purebred divine dragon. The figure in the middle of the skeleton clan spoke in a robotic voice. They had hunted many flood dragons and were very clear about the bloodline of the divine dragon. They had noticed Lei Ming at the beginning, but they couldn't be sure. But now, they saw him transforming into a thunder dragon. The bloodline power in his body was definitely not an ordinary flood dragon. They were 80% sure that he was a purebred divine dragon. How many divine dragons of such a level were there in the universe? If we were to baptize with the blood of a purebred divine dragon, The venerable from the skeleton clan on the right shivered and his eyes were burning with passion. The Dragon Palace is very strong. It's hard for us, the skeleton clan, to annihilate them. The figure on the left said. If we had known earlier, we would have joined forces with the 9 swords and the dragon descendants to annihilate the Dragon Palace first. The figure on the right shook his head with some regret. The bloodline of a purebred divine dragon. We have to get it. The figure in the middle said with determination. If they could obtain the bloodline of a purebred divine dragon, it would be a terrifying upgrade for them. They would be able to transform into real divine dragon skeletons. Contact the clan leader of the 9 Swords race and the bloodthirsty race in the Milky Way. The figure in the middle said slowly. Bloodthirsty race? The two figures from the skeleton clan on the left and right paused for a moment as their eyes glistened. The bloodthirsty race was originally not a force in the Milky Way. Even now, they were not active in the Milky Way. But the skeleton clan knew where the bloodthirsty race was. They were hidden somewhere in the Milky Way. The bloodthirsty race and the ancient painting sect belonged to the same galaxy. In the past, the bloodthirsty race also hunted flood dragons crazily. But later on, they met an opponent. The Heavenly Dragon Clan. The bloodthirsty race was almost annihilated by the Heavenly Dragon Clan. Then, they escaped to the Milky Way to recuperate. But the strength of the bloodthirsty race was still not to be underestimated. The Skeleton Clan, the bloodthirsty race, and the 9 Swords race would definitely be able to annihilate the Dragon Palace. Let's go. We will discuss the details later. Given the current strength of the Dragon Palace, as long as we persuade the bloodthirsty race, we can totally annihilate them. The figure in the middle of the skeleton clan spoke and disappeared gradually. Now they were very clear about the strength of the Dragon Palace. There were more than 20 universe supremacies and 5 to 6 second-order venerables. This strength was very strong and not much weaker than the skeleton clan. But they still had the confidence to annihilate the Dragon Palace. Dragon King, I can sense some malicious gazes from the skeleton clan. I can sense the bloodline of the divine dragon in them. Lei Ming said to Wang Xian from above the Milky Way. I can also sense the skeleton clan. TSK. Let's get ready to annihilate them. Wang Xian's eyes flickered with coldness. The skeleton clan exuded some aura that Wang Xian and the rest could sense. That was a body forged with the blood of the divine dragon. God knew how many flood dragons had died in their hands. Given the strength of the skeleton clan, the Dragon Palace could totally annihilate them. However, what Wang Xian did not know was that when he wanted to strike at the skeleton clan was also preparing to annihilate the Dragon Palace. Chapter 3145. The 9 Swords are back. Purebred Shinran? Is that true? There are still purebred Shinran in this universe. The Milky Way Black Domain was one of the most dangerous places in the Milky Way. The seawater here was incomparably black, there was almost no daylight. Only God Emperor level fighters could move around here. Deep in the Milky Way was a pitch-black sludge. At this moment, in the center of the Black Domain, the pitch-black Milky Way water had a tinge of red. A bloody aura gathered here. Droplets of blood-red blood could be seen in the surroundings. A skeleton without any flesh or blood floated in the center. It was just a skeleton with only bones. The skeleton was emitting a golden glow, looking extremely mystical. In front of the skeleton was a ball of squirming fresh blood. The fresh blood formed a human shape, but it looked terrifying. Our skeleton race's warriors saw it personally. Why would we lie to you? We saw one with our own eyes. I heard that Dragon Palace doesn't only have one purebred Chiron. Once we destroy Dragon Palace, our two races' strength will increase greatly. It shouldn't be a problem for you to take revenge in the future. The golden skeleton spoke with a metallic voice. That Dragon Palace isn't weak. The moment we are exposed, the heavenly dragon race might come after us. The figure made of blood spoke with a cold voice. Our skeleton race teaming up with you would be offending the heavenly dragon race. If we aren't afraid, why should you be? That Dragon Palace is strong, but after all these years, your tyrannical blood race should have recovered quite a bit. Moreover, I will call the Nine Swords race. Even though they only have one warrior, it's still a level 2. Their race also has a strong clan treasure. Along with our two races, it should be enough. Dragon Palace doesn't have a level 3 universe venerable. The golden skeleton continued. Alright, our tyrannical blood race will send 10 level 1 universe venerables. For level 2 universe venerables, this is pretty much our full strength. Distribute the spoils of war according to strength. The figure made of blood spoke. Alright, as expected of the tyrannical blood race, you still have such strength. Wait here for our news. As the golden skeleton spoke, its figure slowly disappeared. A purebred divine dragon? If there really is a purebred divine dragon, devouring their dragon blood will allow all of us to break through. At that time, it will be the end of the heavenly dragon tribe. The figure formed from blood roared, its eyes filled with hatred. In the vast and boundless starry sky, huge planets, battleships, and islands were flying. At the very center, the leader of the Nine Swords tribe was cultivating with his eyes closed. For the Nine Swords tribe's escape this time, they had yet to think of a place to settle down. Wandering in the boundless universe, everyone's eyes were filled with confusion. The universe was vast, but there was no place for them now. It was all because of the Dragon King. Buzz buzz. At that moment, Patriarch Nine Swords, who was sitting cross-legged in cultivation, opened his eyes. A cold sword light flashed in his eyes. He took out the Universe AI and was slightly stunned when he saw the information on it. He stood up abruptly and sent out messages one by one. Ha ha! Very quickly, a maniacal smile appeared on his face, and his expression slowly turned ferocious. Unexpected, really unexpected. Dragon Palace, ha ha! He couldn't help but laugh maniacally. All experts of 5th Order God Emperor Realm and above from the Nine Swords tribe, come over here. A loud roar reverberated in the ears of all the experts of the Nine Swords tribe. They were stunned for a moment, but they immediately flew over. Patriarch! Soon, over 30,000 experts gathered in the Central Planet's main hall, greeting Patriarch Nine Swords. Everyone, follow me back to the Milky Way immediately! Patriarch Nine Swords ordered with a face full of joy. What? Return to the Milky Way immediately? All the disciples were dumbfounded when they heard his words, and their faces were filled with astonishment. Annihilate the Dragon Palace! Patriarch Nine Swords spat out 3 words. Annihilate the Dragon Palace? The disciples of the Nine Swords tribe were shocked once again. Come, follow me. The Skeleton tribe will make a move against the Dragon Palace. Moreover, they have found a powerful tribe to help them. With the 3 tribes joining hands, the Dragon Palace will be annihilated. Patriarch Nine Swords said with a chilling tone. What? The Skeleton tribe is going to make a move against the Dragon Palace? The Skeleton tribe is even crazier than us when it comes to hunting wyverns. Just now, I saw someone say that the Dragon Palace has a purebred divine dragon, and there is even a picture of it. Since the Skeleton tribe wants to annihilate the Dragon Palace, it means that they are fully prepared. This is great. The Dragon Palace killed our venerable lord, forcing us to leave the Milky Way. This time, they will pay the price in blood. Kill, destroy the Dragon Palace. The disciples of the Nine Swords tribe revealed excited expressions when they heard the news. Go! Patriarch Nine Swords was in a good mood. With a wave of his hand, he led everyone towards the Milky Way. 3 hours later, a piece of news regarding the Nine Swords tribe spread in the Milky Way. There were only a few words in the message: "Our Nine Swords is back." When everyone saw the message, their faces were filled with astonishment. What's going on? Why did the Nine Swords tribe make such a statement? The Nine Swords tribe is back? The Nine Swords tribe is back? Back to our Milky Way? They still dare to come back? What happened? The Nine Swords tribe is returning to the Milky Way? Above the Milky Way, discussions broke out when they saw the news. The Dragon Palace had annihilated the Dragon Descendants tribe. Next, they would surely annihilate the Nine Swords tribe. Why did the Nine Swords tribe return? Had they negotiated with the Dragon Palace? Reconciled? Or was there something else? Everyone was filled with curiosity. Even the universe's primary races were slightly astonished, unable to make heads or tails of this. Dragon King, there is a message regarding the Nine Swords tribe on the AI. The Nine Swords tribe has announced that they are back. In the Dragon King Hall of the Dragon Palace, Prime Minister Turtle reported to Wang Xian. Wang Xian raised an eyebrow. That's strange. Yes, it is. Prime Minister Turtle nodded. In order to prevent the Dragon Palace from attacking them, the Nine Swords tribe had fled. Now, they had returned in such a high-profile manner. Ignore them for now. Send Roving Demon and the rest to the Skeleton tribe. After investigating the situation, we will annihilate the Skeleton tribe first. Wang Xian did not pay much attention to the Nine Swords tribe. The Nine Swords tribe only had a rank 2 Venerable Lord tribe leader, which was not a threat. Yes, Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle nodded. Wang Xian knocked on the dragon throne gently as he flipped through the introduction of the Skeleton tribe by the Crescent Moon Reverend. The Skeleton tribe did not belong to the human race. They were also a huge race in the universe. Just like their name suggested, they were skeletons. The Skeleton tribe focused on physical training and close combat. They were extremely strong. Chapter 3146. 3 days after the ancient painting sex banquet, the Milky Way was bustling with activity due to the return of the tribe of Nine Swords. After the two venerables from the ancient painting sect failed to find the culprit, they continued their investigation in the Milky Way. In the Dragon Palace, Roving Demon led a few of his men into the territory of the Skeleton tribe. The Skeleton tribe had the smallest population among all the tribes in the Milky Way. In fact, they had fewer members than some domain-level tribes. The Skeleton tribe lived on the Skull Island in the Milky Way, which was a forbidden place for other tribes. In the Dragon Palace, all the other members were making preparations. They were preparing for the upcoming battle. Let's go to the Skull Island. On the 5th day, a group of 30,000 people flew over from the front of the Skull Island. The leader of the tribe of Nine Swords looked at the Skull Island with glistening eyes. Welcome, everyone from the tribe of Nine Swords. Welcome, tribe leader of the tribe of Nine Swords. As they approached, a venerable from the Skeleton tribe in a black robe appeared out of thin air. His emotionless voice was heard. Venerable Darkness. The tribe leader of the tribe of Nine Swords cupped his fists at the figure from the Skeleton tribe. Please! Venerable Darkness made an inviting gesture. The other allies have arrived. We're just waiting for you. Great! Ha ha! The tribe leader of the tribe of Nine Swords laughed and flew down immediately. However, as they were flying toward the Skull Island, the eyes hiding in the void not far from them were surprised when they saw this. The tribe of Nine Swords has come to the Skeleton tribe. Moreover, it seems like another tribe has entered the Skeleton tribe. The figure revealed a pensive look and slowly disappeared. Dragon King, Roving Demon has sent news. There's an unexpected discovery. The people from the tribe of Nine Swords have entered the Skull Island. Moreover, there's another unknown powerful tribe. Not long after the people from the tribe of Nine Swords entered the Skull Island, Prime Minister Turtle received news from Roving Demon. Oh? The tribe of 9 Swords has gone to the Skull Island? There's another unknown tribe? Wang Xian raised an eyebrow with glistening eyes. Can you confirm which tribe it is? Not yet. But based on Roving Demon's guess, it shouldn't be a force from the Milky Way. Prime Minister Turtle replied. The 9 Swords race has returned to the Skull Island. I'm sure they want to deal with us. As he recalled the passionate gazes of the 3 venerables of the Heavenly Skeleton clan, his eyes turned cold. It's highly likely that they're targeting our Dragon Palace. Moreover, that unknown clan is also involved. Prime Minister Turtle's expression turned solemn. Summon all the venerable level members of Dragon Palace, said Wang Xian. It's Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle nodded. Soon, the 40 universe venerables of Dragon Palace gathered. Prime Minister Turtle briefly explained everything to them, leaving the members of Dragon Palace in deep thought. Our time in the Milky Way is still too short. Otherwise, with the abilities of our venom-horned dragon species, we would be able to grasp the information of all the races in a few years. After a dozen seconds of silence, Orochi said, It's a little too late to say that. The Skeleton Clan, the 9 Swords Clan, and the Unknown Clan should be targeting us. If they dare to target us, they must be very confident in their own strength. However, the strength of our Dragon Palace is incomparable to the strength of the previous invasion of the Dragon Descendants Clan. Lei Ming and 10 Universe Venerables are enough to form a powerful trump card, Tianjin said slowly. 3 races are targeting our Dragon Palace. We have to be vigilant. The Skeleton Clan has a trump card that can unleash the strength of a rank 3 Universe Venerable, Wang Xian said plainly. He looked at Tianjin with a smile. Since they want to annihilate our Dragon Palace, we can wait for them here. I don't believe they can send out 3 or 4 rank 3 Universe Venerables. As he spoke, his eyes were cold. Dragon King, even if there are 2 rank 3 Universe Venerables, I can still hold them back, Lei Ming said confidently from below. At his peak, he had the strength of a rank 5 Universe Venerable. Even if he had not fully recovered, his combat experience was still there. Holding back 2 rank 3 Universe Venerables was not a problem at all. Dragon King, if we wait here, I will set up a formation that will make them pay a heavy price, said Gu Shuwei. Tianjin said confidently. Tianjin's strength was enough to fight against 3 existences of the same level. After he set up the formation, this number would at least double. Formation sorcerers were best at defensive battles. Alright, the Skeleton Clan will not be able to predict the full strength of our Dragon Palace. Make preparations in the Dragon Palace for the next few days. We will wait for their arrival, Wang Xian said softly. Yes, Dragon King. Anyone who invades our Dragon Palace will pay the price. If they dare to attack us without us annihilating them, we will wait and see who will kill who, the group of Dragon Palace leaders said with a stern look. Wang Xian squinted his eyes, stretched his body, and made all the preparations. 15 rank 1 Universe Venerables and 7 rank 2 Universe Venerables. On the Skull Island, tribe leader Jiujian's eyes scanned the surroundings with excitement. His gaze fell on the golden figure in the middle of the Skeleton Clan. Tribe leader Skeleton, you should have a powerful trump card, right? The 9 Swords Clan should still have a good trump card, right? The Skeleton Clan leader, who was emitting golden light, looked at the 9 Swords Clan leader and asked with a creepy laugh. We do have a trump card, but it's nothing compared to the Skeleton Clan. The 9 Swords Clan leader chuckled. This is all the trump card of the brutal blood race. Don't think that we still have a trump card. I don't want to fight a battle that we are not confident of winning. The body that looked like it was made of blood laid on the chair and said, Don't worry. This time, the Skeleton Clan will mobilize the entire strength of the Skull Island. We have not revealed our trump card for billions of years. Hee, we won't let you guys down, the Golden Skeleton Clan leader said with a smile. That's great. The figure made of blood stood up slowly. When do we make our move? Let's do it in a few hours. I can't wait for the divine dragon blood. The golden light in the Golden Skeleton Clan leader's eyes danced with excitement. Purebred divine dragon bloodline! The Nine Swords Clan leader clenched his fist tightly as he looked around with a smile. He had heard of the brutal blood race. The dragon blood was extremely useful to them. Those who like the Invincible Divine Dragon Cultivation System, please collect Invincible Divine Dragon Cultivation System. Chapter 3147. The weather in the Milky Way was unpredictable. Sometimes it was cloudless, and other times it would suddenly rain. Today, a sudden rainstorm enveloped half of the Milky Way. The Milky Way during the rainstorm was the most active time for all kinds of aquatic wild beasts. It was also a good day for fishing. Every time there was a rainstorm, many anglers would enter the Milky Way in groups. This rainstorm should last for half a month. Let's see if we can get more in this half a month. We are still too weak. We can only fish here. Sigh, when can we reach the Fifth Order God Emperor realm and above? In the Milky Way, a dozen middle-aged men were chatting with each other. Cultivation is so difficult. Tens of millions of years of cultivation, and a single seclusion is 1,000,000 years. I feel like I spent most of my life in seclusion. A middle-aged man in the middle shook his head. Don't say such depressing words. Oh right, I heard that the Nine Swords race is back. Is there any gossip? One of them changed the topic and said, It's strange. The Nine Swords race has already escaped. Why are they back? Aren't they afraid that the Dragon Palace will be destroyed? Look over there. A middle-aged man was suddenly interrupted. One of them pointed to the back with a look of disbelief. What? What's that? It's the Skull Island. It's the Skull Island of the skeleton race. What's going on? Why is the Skull Island moving in the Milky Way? Everyone looked over and widened their eyes. The skeleton race was one of the top existences in the Milky Way. Even if the Skull Island forbade people from entering, everyone in the Milky Way knew about it. The Skull Island was the base camp of the skeleton race. Their territory and numbers were relatively small in the Milky Way. The Skull Island was only the size of 4 to 5 stars. The Skull Island had always been beside the Black Domain. Why was it suddenly moving in the Milky Way? This was equivalent to the entire skeleton race mobilizing all their strength. Move away! Everyone quickly hid to the side. The Skull Island was getting closer and closer. A terrifying aura rushed over. Look at the front of the Skull Island. There are so many members of the skeleton race. They are holding weapons. Are they preparing for battle? Guys, look at the center. That's the people from the Nine Swords tribe. Hiss! It's the Nine Swords tribe. Heavens! Soon, everyone's faces were filled with shock. The entire Skull Island was moving forward, and the Nine Swords race was still there. Looking at his aggressive manner, it was obvious that this was not an ordinary matter. They are heading towards the volcano domain, the direction of the Dragon Palace. Could it be? A middle-aged man said. His eyes narrowed and his face was filled with shock. The Nine Swords race said that they are back. Could it be that they are going to attack the Dragon Palace with the skeleton race? That's possible. Although the skeleton clan is strong, it's impossible for them to destroy the Dragon Palace, right? Even with the addition of the Nine Swords. Since the skeleton clan dared to make a move, they must be confident that they can destroy the Dragon Palace. Otherwise, why would they dare to launch such a sudden attack? Why did they suddenly attack the Dragon Palace? Could it be because of the divine dragon bloodline? It is said that there are purebred divine dragons in the Dragon Palace. The crowd was discussing in shock as they looked at the massive Skull Island moving towards the volcano area. The operation of the Skull Island and the members of the Nine Swords race standing in front of the Skull Island with a murderous aura soon attracted many people's attention. Such a massive Skull Island moving in the Milky Way couldn't be concealed. In less than half an hour, the information about the Skull Island's whereabouts and happenings was sent to the artificial intelligence system, causing an uproar. The skeleton clan is going to join forces with the Nine Swords race to attack the Dragon Palace? This So the Nine Swords race is back to attack the Dragon Palace. Don't they only have one venerable? Even with the Skeleton Clan, they are no match for the Dragon Palace. With their strength, they can destroy the Dragon Palace? I don't think they are going to attack the Dragon Palace. On the artificial intelligence system, countless people were also discussing. They really didn't believe that the Nine Swords race and the Skeleton Clan were going to attack the Dragon Palace. With the strength of the Dragon Palace, even if the Skeleton Clan was strong, it was impossible for them to destroy the Dragon Palace. What's going on? The Nine Swords race is going to attack the Dragon Palace with the Skeleton Clan? Given their strength, they can't destroy the Dragon Palace. At the same time, when the Mist Clan received the news, they were slightly stunned. The Red Mist Venerable frowned and said to himself, "The Skull Island is heading in the direction of the volcano region. Even if they are not going to attack the Dragon Palace, it must be something important. Let's go." They were deep in thought. We know the strength of the Skeleton Clan very well. Let's go and have a look. The Red Mist Venerable said directly. Whether it was about attacking the Dragon Palace or something else, they had to check it out. As he spoke, he immediately walked out. The other Venerables followed him immediately. The strength of the Skeleton Clan was similar to that of the Mist Clan. Naturally, they had to find out what this clan of similar strength was going to do. Not only the Mist Clan, but other primary clans in the universe and even some domain-level clans also headed over after receiving the news. Left Guardian, it seems like a war is about to break out in the Milky Way. The Skeleton Clan seems to be going to attack the Dragon Palace. Somewhere in the Milky Way, two Venerables from the ancient painting sect were looking for Venerable Lu Shan and the others. Seeing the information on the artificial intelligence system, they raised their eyebrows and said, "Let's go and have a look." The two pondered for a while and decided to go and have a look. They didn't receive any news from the previous banquet. There was another possibility. That was, the person who killed Venerable Lu Shan hadn't arrived. In the Milky Way, only the Mist Clan, the Skeleton Clan, and the Dragon Palace could eliminate Venerable Lu Shan and the others. Now that the Skeleton Clan was suspected to be attacking the Dragon Palace, a war would definitely break out. At that time, they would be able to investigate in more detail. As the two spoke, they flew towards the volcano region quickly. Dragon King, the Skeleton Clan will reach us in about 30 hours. At the same time, in the Dragon Palace, Wan Xian and the rest had already received the news when they were just traveling on the Skull Island. Great. Are all the members of the Dragon Palace ready? Wan Xian stood up and asked with a smile. Everything is ready. Prime Minister Turtle nodded. Great, we will wait for them. As Wan Xian spoke, he stood up and flew out. At this moment, the dragons were training around the Dragon Palace. Looking around, none of them were lower than the Emperor God level. Now, all the members of the Dragon Guard division had evolved into halberd dragon guards. Their eyes were filled with excitement and passion. This could be considered their first battle. Chapter 3148 Outbreak. 3 clans versus Dragon Palace. 2 Dragon Palace's Dragon Guard division had never participated in Dragon Palace's battles. They had always been at the bottom of Dragon Palace and had never participated in any of Dragon Palace's battles. This time, they had evolved into the halberd dragon guards and the true Dragon Guard division. They could finally have a big battle. This was their battle to prove themselves. This filled the Dragon Guard division members with fighting spirit. They couldn't wait for war to break out. Wan Xian's gaze swept across the high-spirited patrolling Dragon Guard division members and a smile appeared on his face. The Imperial Dragon Division had formed a battle line at the front. 10,000 Shaman Dragon Division members were sitting cross-legged on the Heaven Divination chessboard, setting up arrays around them. Currently, all 10,000 Shaman Dragon Division members possessed the combat strength of a 7th-order God Emperor. They could erupt with the combat strength of an 8th-order God Emperor on the Heaven Divination chessboard. The current Shaman Dragon Division was the strongest legion of Dragon Palace. Due to the Heaven Divination chessboard, the strength of every member of the Shaman Dragon Division was unified. In fact, the formations that they controlled were all the same. All for the sake of controlling the powerful Heaven Divination chessboard. All the arrow dragons had already found their battle positions and were waiting there quietly. Beside each arrow dragon, there were members of the Firehammer clan. They had forged powerful weapons. The most powerful defensive divine weapons were the dragon cannons. The dragon cannons obtained from the dragon descendants. After being modified by the Firehammer tribe, the dragon cannon's power had increased by another level. If 100 dragon cannons bombarded a First Order Universe Venerable, they could instantly kill that First Order Universe Venerable. The members of Dragon Palace at the Venerable level were flying around, instructing the members of Dragon Palace. I want to see how many Venerables the 3 clans have and how many trump cards they have. Wang Xian stood in the center and stared ahead. With a wave of his arm, the crescent moon hung high in the sky. Everything within a radius of tens of billions of kilometers appeared in his vision. The 5 elements' great grindstone floated quietly. After devouring a bunch of acquired spiritual treasures, the 5 elements' great grindstone's power was enough to kill a second-order universe venerable. Time passed and the Skull Island was getting closer to the Dragon Palace. On Inhe's brain, everyone saw the Skull Island flying towards the Dragon Palace. Basically, they could confirm that the Skeleton Clan was going to attack the Dragon Palace. The experts of the universe's primary races also flew towards the Dragon Palace, preparing to watch the battle. A battle between the primary races of the universe, and one that would involve 30 to 40 universe venerables. It would definitely be shocking. We're within the range of the Dragon Palace. I can sense an energy shrouding us. After more than 20 hours, the massive Skull Island entered the volcano area. At the center of the Skull Island, 3 figures stood there. They represented the 9 swords, Shueli, and Skeleton. Behind him were the disciples of the 3 major clans. Naturally, the Skeleton clan had the largest number of disciples. This time, the entire Skeleton clan had come out, even bringing the Skull Island. Secondly, the number of strange bloodthirsty race disciples was not small. They were like half liquid, condensed into various shapes and sizes, and filled with the stench of blood. This time, all the experts of the 9 Swords race had arrived. The 3 major races had mobilized all their forces. The Dragon Palace should have known that we were coming. Hee, they won't escape. The leader of the Golden Skeleton clan in the center said faintly. He looked at the bloodthirsty race and said, "They don't know about the existence of the bloodthirsty race. Hee, get ready to attack. Later, we'll split the spoils according to our battle results." The leader of the bloodthirsty race said faintly. According to rumors, the Dragon Palace doesn't only have one pure-blooded divine dragon. The leader of the 9 Swords race said. He licked his lips, his eyes filled with ferocity and excitement. He knew the strength that they had used this time. He was sure that this terrifying strength could destroy any force in the Milky Way. No matter how strong the Dragon Palace was, they would definitely be able to face them. Not to mention, the Skeleton Clan still had a strong trump card that they had yet to reveal. All members of the Skeleton Clan, get ready! The leader of the Golden Skeleton Clan let out a mechanical voice and shouted loudly. Ka ka ka! All the members of the Skeleton Clan held the divine weapons in their hands tightly, their killing intent surging. Rumble! At this time, the entire Skull Island let out a loud roar. The surrounding Milky Way water evaporated instantly. Within a radius of a few billion kilometers, all the Milky Way water surged to the surroundings, forming a vacuum. The Milky Way water surged to the surroundings until the bottom of the Milky Way was exposed. Wherever the massive Skull Island went, the Milky Way water would surge to the surroundings. Outside the Skull Island, the Milky Way water would surge to the surroundings. Outside the Dragon Palace, it caused a massive tsunami and waves. In the Dragon Palace, all the members of the Dragon Palace squinted their eyes as they sensed the changes ahead. Wang Xian moved and flew to the front, hovering in the air. Around him, 9 wind divine dragons flew out, their eyes gleaming coldly. Today, they also possessed the combat strength of a rank 1 universe supremacy. Prime Minister Turtle Lei Ming immediately followed behind. As for Guan Shuqing, Feng Luan, and the rest of the girls, they followed closely with murderous looks. They stared coldly at the scene in front of them. Rumble! The deafening roar of the Skull Island was heard. Gradually, it appeared in the sight of the members of the Dragon Palace. Ahead of them was the front half of the Skull Island, which was made up of countless skulls. It was filled with terror and bloodthirst. Above them, the leaders of the Nine Swords tribe, the Skeleton clan, and the bloodthirsty race looked down at the Dragon Palace with a stern face. "What race are those people from?" said Wang Xian as he stared coldly at the existence that was reeking of blood and blood. "I've never seen them before." Prime Minister Turtle and the rest frowned and shook their heads. "It feels like these guys have a similar physique to us." Hee hee. Orochi looked at the leader of the bloodthirsty race with glistening eyes. "Do you want me to hand this race over to the Venom-Horned Dragon clan?" Tianjin looked at them and asked with a smile. "Nope, nope." Orochi and the rest shook their heads in defeat. "I didn't sense any rank 3 universe supremacy," Lei Ming said to Wang Xian. "Even the Skull Island of the Skeleton clan is here. They definitely have items comparable to rank 3 universe supremacy." Wang Xian's dragon eyes flickered as he looked across. "There are 7 rank 2 universe supremacies and 15 rank 1 universe supremacies. Take note. How dare they invade us with such strength?" Upon hearing Wang Xian, the members of the Dragon Palace were filled with murderous intent. Chapter 3149, Outburst, 3 Clans vs. Dragon Palace 3. Inch boom boom boom! The members of Dragon Palace are ready. TSK TSK TSK. They didn't escape. They are confident. In that case, let's wipe them all out. The Skull Island was slowly moving above the Dragon Palace. It was like a crushing force. Wherever it passed, the Milky Way's water surged and flooded. A vast and terrifying energy spread to the surroundings. In front, the Nine Swords tribe leader, the Skeleton tribe leader, and the Bloodthirsty tribe leader looked down with glistening eyes. The humongous Skull Island also came to a stop. Eh? At this moment, when they noticed the 9 divine wind dragons swaying their bodies behind Wang Xian, their pupils constricted. "Are those the legendary wind divine dragons? Are those purebred divine dragons?" The eyes of the venerables of the skeleton race flickered with crazy ghostly flames as they roared in a low voice. "I can sense a powerful bloodline power! I can sense a powerful bloodline power!" The universe venerable from the bloodthirsty tribe also roared in a frenzy. "It's even stronger than the experts from the heavenly dragon tribe. It's these 9 divine dragons. Rumor has it that the Dragon Palace has 9 purebred wind divine dragons. From the looks of it, it's possible," the Nine Swords tribe leader said excitedly. "Purebred divine dragons. Such a powerful bloodline power could elevate their bloodlines and make breakthroughs in their strength. We must capture those 9 divine dragons and annihilate the Dragon Palace." The Golden Skeleton tribe leader roared in his heart as he fixed his eyes on the Dragon Palace. "Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. Ha ha ha! I bet you didn't expect us, the 9 Swords, to be back." The Nine Swords tribe leader shifted his gaze to Wang Xian and roared with a hideous face. "Hee hee, you're just a stray dog. We can squash your 9 Swords tribe easily." When Wang Xian heard what the 9 Swords tribe leader said, he looked at him with a mocking expression. The 9 Swords tribe leader did not take the Dragon Palace seriously at all. Even if it was the Skeleton clan, that was all. He looked at the figure formed from blood and squinted his eyes. "I wonder what tribe you are from. I don't think our Dragon Palace has any feud with you. How dare you attack our Dragon Palace? Aren't you afraid of our retaliation? Ha ha! You want us to not attack you? It's simple. Hand over the 9 divine dragons behind you to us and we can consider letting you go." The leader of the bloodthirsty race laughed maniacally. His expression changed as he spoke, making him look exceptionally terrifying. "Kill us? You have such ability? Our Dragon Palace doesn't kill nameless people. You bunch of dog shit, state your name." Yamada no Orochi stared at the bloodthirsty race's leader, who seemed to be condensed from blood, and shouted coldly. Ha ha ha, we, the bloodthirsty race, will also let you die knowing. Even if you die, you will know who killed you. The leader of the bloodthirsty race laughed maniacally as blood flowed through his body. So. Just as Wang Xian and his group were facing off, universe supremacies appeared one after another. They were far away, watching from afar. When they heard the words of the tyrannical blood race leader, their faces were filled with shock. Bloodthirsty race, it's that bloodthirsty race. The skeleton race actually joined hands with them. Hiss, it's that bloodthirsty race? The Xueli who was almost killed by the heavenly dragon clan. Why are they here? The strength of the bloodthirsty race was terrifying in the past. There were over 30 universe supremacies in the race, but almost all of them were wiped out by the heavenly dragon clan. Only a portion of them escaped. Who would have expected the skeleton race to join hands with the bloodthirsty race to destroy the dragon palace? When the surrounding supremacies heard this name, their faces were filled with shock. The bloodthirsty race was a powerful race in the starry sky of the ancient painting sect. They used to dominate a region. After being wiped out by the heavenly dragon clan hundreds of millions of years ago, they disappeared without a trace. Who would have expected them to suddenly appear today? And to destroy the dragon palace? The skeleton race came prepared this time. 9 swords, skeleton, and bloodthirsty race. With the 3 races joining hands, they definitely have the strength to destroy the dragon palace. 3 primary races of the universe joining hands. They are fully prepared. The dragon palace is in trouble this time. The supremacies from the primary races of the universe looked over with glistening eyes. Huh! The bloodthirsty race. It's them? On the right, 2 supremacies from the ancient painting sect flew over. When they saw the bloodthirsty race, they raised their eyebrows. The ancient painting sect was very clear about the bloodthirsty race. Moreover, both parties were considered enemies. The heavenly dragon clan had annihilated the bloodthirsty race. The ancient painting sect had a good relationship with the heavenly dragon clan. The enemy of a friend naturally wouldn't have a good relationship. Left Protector, do you think it was the bloodthirsty race that killed Supremacy Lu Shan and the rest? The ancient painting sect supremacy said as he squinted his eyes. The Left Protector raised his eyebrows and waved his arm. The white disc appeared again with a drop of fresh blood floating on it. At this moment, the fresh blood on it instantly changed. Huh! The ancient painting sect supremacy focused his eyes and stared at it. Soon, multiple silhouettes appeared in the white mirror. The shadow looked a little blurry, but one could tell who it was from the silhouette. It's not the bloodthirsty race. It's the people from the Dragon Palace. The Left Protector stared at it, his eyes filled with anger. It's the Dragon Palace. They really killed them. No wonder the Dragon King didn't give us any face at the previous banquet. So Supremacy Lu Shan was killed by the Dragon Palace. The ancient painting sect supremacy bellowed with murderous intent. They turned their heads and stared in the direction of the Dragon Palace with murderous intent. Dragon Palace, I didn't expect that the deputy sect master of our ancient painting sect was killed by you guys. Even if you guys don't die today, our ancient painting sect will annihilate you guys. Dragon Palace, I didn't expect you guys to be the one who killed our ancient painting sect's member. The Left Protector moved and approached with a face full of murderous intent as he bellowed. What? What's going on? The ancient painting sect's supremacy Lu Shan was killed by the Dragon Palace? This? SSS. 2 supremacies from the ancient painting sect suddenly flew out and bellowed with murderous intent. This shocked the surrounding supremacies who were hiding in the void. Their faces were filled with astonishment. Even the 9 Swords race and the Skeleton race were taken aback as they revealed a shocked expression. No one had expected Supremacy Lu Shan to be killed by the Dragon Palace. They were too unscrupulous. The ancient painting sect was extremely powerful. They had 60 to 70 supremacies in their universe. Moreover, they had more than one rank 3 supremacy in their universe. They even dared to offend such a force. This time, even if the skeleton race, Nine Swords race, and bloodthirsty race couldn't annihilate the Dragon Palace, it wouldn't take long before the ancient painting sect did. Chapter 3150. Ha! In front of Dragon Palace, Wang Xian and the rest squinted their eyes when they saw the two supremacies from the ancient painting sect. Ha ha ha! I didn't expect Dragon Palace to be so arrogant. You even dared to kill Supremacy Lu Shan from the ancient painting sect, courting death. However, even without the ancient painting sect, we can annihilate you all. The leader of the Nine Swords race was stunned when he saw this scene. He roared with malevolence. Dragon Palace was not far from death. TSK, how dare you people from the ancient painting sect be arrogant in our Dragon Palace? So what if we kill you? Wang Xian stared coldly at the two supremacies from the ancient painting sect. Why don't you join forces with the other three races? Let's see who will die in the end. Arrogant, arrogant. The two supremacies were filled with murderous intent. Dragon Palace, you will be annihilated. This is what we said. We don't need you to say anything. If we say we will annihilate them, we will annihilate them. Just as the ancient painting sect's two universe supremacies finished speaking, the Golden Skeleton tribe leader in front of the Skull Island let out a metallic laugh. All disciples of the skeleton race, get ready! As he spoke, he raised his golden arm and shouted. Ka! A series of metal clashing sounds could be heard. Within the Skull Island, countless disciples of the skeleton race crawled out from the ground. At a glance, there was no end to them. There were at least billions of them. Every skeleton was emitting a terrifying, murderous aura. They weren't afraid of death or pain. Their numbers were huge. At the front were countless undying God King level skeleton disciples. Behind them were God Emperor level skeletons. In a war between the skeleton race, the main tactic was to use the sea of skeletons to win with numbers. They didn't care about the sacrifice of the weak skeletons. All disciples of the Nine Swords race, get ready to annihilate Dragon Palace. Roar, roar, annihilate Dragon Palace! The leader of the Nine Swords race raised his long sword and roared. Over 30,000 experts were filled with murderous intent. Dragon Palace forced them to flee. Today, they would make Dragon Palace pay the price. Ha ha ha, bloodthirsty race, kill! Kill! The leader of the Shui ruthless race roared as his blood surged and a bloody aura soared into the sky. The blood ruthless race, other than the 14 universe supremacies, there were millions of other blood ruthless race members. When the blood chi on their bodies rose, it was as if blood-red beads were falling from the sky. Such a phenomenon was extremely terrifying. The war is about to break out. What a terrifying aura! This time, Nine Swords, Skeleton, and Shui have mobilized 22 universe paragons. Although there aren't as many as the Dragon Palace, there are more rank 2 universe venerables among them. Furthermore, the Nine Swords race and the Skeleton race have yet to reveal their trump cards. In the surrounding void, all the low-level races of the Milky Way had their universe supremacies arrive. They were watching from a distance. Feeling the terrifying aura emitted from the Skull Island, their faces filled with fear. All disciples of Dragon Palace, prepare to kill the enemy. Wang Xian stared at them coldly. His eyes were filled with malice as he bellowed. Kill the enemies. The Dragon Palace is invincible. All the members of Dragon Palace were full of fighting spirit. Kill. On the Skull Island ahead of them, the leader of the Gold Skeleton tribe roared. Walala! The disciples of the skeleton race were like a sea of skeletons. They flew out from the Skull Island and covered the sky as they flew towards the Dragon Palace. They raised their arms in front of them to protect themselves. The entire skeleton was linked together. Looking from afar, they formed a sharp shield as they charged forward. There were more than 1 billion skeletons at the front. The weakest was at the immortal God King level. It was extremely terrifying. Even the universe supremacies had to be wary of the dozen skeletons at the front. Kill. The leader of the Gold Skeleton tribe moved and flew up. He locked his gaze on the Dragon Palace supremacies ahead. With a wave of his arm, incomparably sharp golden radiance shot towards Wang Xian and the rest. Kill, kill, kill! At the back, the black robes on the skeleton race supremacies disappeared instantly. They revealed their pitch-black bodies. Blood-red ghostly flames danced in their pupils. The skeletons on their bodies were glowing. They did not look like evil skeletons, but divine beings. Kill, kill! Dragon blood! Ha! The leader of the tyrannical blood race charged up. The bloodthirsty blood above him shot straight into the sky. Around him, the supremacies of the tyrannical blood race also moved and attacked the supremacies of the Dragon Palace. Lei Ming, find a chance to kill a few supremacies. The rest kill. Wang Xian's eyes shone. He roared and moved towards the supremacies of the three major races. Yes, Dragon King. In an instant, the 30 supremacies of the Dragon Palace moved. As for the other 10 supremacies, they were still hiding in the Dragon Palace, waiting for an opportunity. In the eyes of the outside world, 30 supremacies was the full strength of the Dragon Palace. However, Wang Xian did not let Lei Ming hide. He knew that the skeleton clan had an existence that could fight against a rank 3 venerable. In that case, there was no need for Lei Long to hide. The Dragon Palace has 6 supremacies and 24 rank 1 supremacies. It's much more than the 3 major races. However, the 3 major races have 1 more rank 2 supremacy. The skeleton race still has a trump card. The 9 swords race also has a trump card. I think the Dragon Palace should have one too. They are testing each other. The surrounding supremacies watched the battle unfold in front of them. Their eyes shone brightly. This time, they could clearly understand the strength of the skeleton race and the Dragon Palace. Boom, boom, boom. In the sky, the energy from both sides collided, shattering the surrounding void and turning it into darkness. Kill! Wang Xian squinted his eyes and the 5 elements grindstone appeared below him. He locked his gaze on a rank 2 supremacy of the tyrannical blood race and charged over. Around him, the members of the Dragon Palace also locked on to their targets. Boom, boom, boom. Below, the elite experts of the 9 swords race and the tyrannical blood race charged towards the Dragon Palace at the bottom of the Milky Way. It's time to show you the strength of the Dragon Palace. Prime Minister Turtle squinted his eyes and guarded the rear. Sorcerer Dragon, Arrow Dragon, attack! He shouted and gave the order to attack. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.